Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Welcome back to another edition of 15 Minutes with the Captains. I'm your host today, Captain Josiah, and today's lesson is entitled The Allegory of the Two Covenants. All right, the Allegory of the Two Covenants. And the backdrop of the lesson is going to be Galatians 4:24. That's the backdrop. But let's start. We're going to start at verse 22, Galatians 4:22. Let's just start there, and we'll get through it. Watch this.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 4 and verse 22. For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman.
Right. So Abraham had two sons. It says one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman. Who is the son by a bondmaid? Let's get that in Genesis 16. All right. Abraham had a son by a bondmaid. Genesis 16, start at verse 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 16 and verse 1. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian whose name was Hagar.
So remember, it said he had a son by a bondmaid. Hagar was a handmaid to his wife. Read on.
And Sarai said unto Abraham, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid.
Go in unto my maid. Read.
It may be that I may obtain children by her.
So now, if you go into her, I can obtain children by her. Read on.
And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah. And Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian.
Her maid, her bondmaid. Read.
After Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife.
Read on.
And he went in unto Hagar.
He did what?
And he went in unto Hagar.
He went in unto Hagar. Read.
And she conceived.
And she conceived. Conception happened. Read on.
And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
All right, so now let's jump down to verse 11.
Genesis 16 and 11.
Right, so Hagar is pregnant now. Go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child.
So Hagar, you're with child. Read on.
And shalt bear a son. And shalt call his name Ishmael.
And you shall call his name Ishmael. Read on.
Because the Lord has heard thy affliction.
Right. That's what Ishmael means. Affliction heard. Affliction heard. Go ahead.
And he will be a wild man.
He will be a wild man.
And his hand will be against every man.
Read on.
And every man's hand against him.
Right. That's a different lesson for a different day. Jump down to verse 16.
Verse 16. And Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram.
Right. So now Abraham had a son by Hagar. His name was Ishmael. That's the bondmaid son. All right. Go back to Galatians 4. Read 22 again.
Book of Galatians, chapter 4 and verse 22.
Go ahead.
For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid.
The one by a bondmaid, which was Ishmael, Hagar's son. Read.
The other by a free woman.
So who's the free woman? Let's get that in Genesis chapter 16. 17. Let's go to chapter 17 and 15. Kind of get to the point, Lord's will.
The book of Genesis, chapter 17 and verse 15.
Watch this.
And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be.
Go ahead.
And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her.
So I will bless you and give you a son of her. Read on.
Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations.
So Sarah shall be a mother of nations. Read on.
Kings of people shall be of her.
Read.
Then Abraham fell upon his face.
That's interesting. It says kings of people shall be of her. But she only had Isaac. Okay. Go ahead.
Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old?
Read on.
And shall Sarah, this is 90 years old, bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
So I'm 100. My wife is 90. Like, really? We gonna have children? Lord, I got Ishmael already. I dealt with Hagar. Ishmael is here. Let him be your son. Read on.
And God said, Sarah, thy wife, shall bear thee a son indeed.
Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son indeed. Read.
And thou shalt call his name Isaac.
Go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant with him.
What is this? This is a promise. I will establish my covenant with him. Read on.
For an everlasting covenant.
Yep.
And with his seed after him.
So now an everlasting covenant with him and his seed after him. Read.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly.
Yep.
12 princes shall he beget.
Read on.
And I will make him a great nation.
So Ishmael, I'm going to take care of him. He's going to be all right. Read.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
But my covenant I'm going to establish with Isaac. Go ahead.
Which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
In this set time the next year. What is that again? A promise. Go back to Galatians 4. Okay.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 22. For it is written that Abraham had two sons,
Yep.
the one by a bondmaid,
Hagar.
the other by a free woman.
So the other he had by a free woman, which was who? Isaac. Or Sarah was the mother and Isaac was the son. Read on.
But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh.
Now, what does it mean after the flesh? Why? Because Sarah couldn't have a child, so she said, oh, take Hagar and go in unto her, okay? That way I can have children by her. Give me that Romans 9 and 7, okay? He who was born of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. Watch this right here.
The book of
9 and
Romans,
7. Yep.
chapter 9 and verse 7.
Go ahead.
Neither because they are the seed of Abraham
So just because they come out of Abraham,
are they all children.
meaning they're not all the children of God just because they come out of Abraham. Go ahead.
But in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So now that's what it means, being born after the flesh, meaning that child was not of promise. The Lord didn't promise him that child. That was done of their own will. Okay? Give me John 3 and 6. Okay? Going back to Galatians 4 where it says, but he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, meaning carnal stuff. John 3 and 6, I believe.
The book of John, chapter 3 and verse 6.
Go ahead.
That which is born of the flesh is flesh.
See what Christ says? That which is born of the flesh is flesh, meaning physical birth. That's just fleshly, right? Go ahead.
And that which is born of the spirit is spirit.
Right. So now there's a spiritual birth that we all have to partake in to get the kingdom of heaven. But the point I wanted was that which is born after the flesh is flesh. Go back to Galatians 4. Read 23 again.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 23.
Yep.
But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh.
Go ahead.
But he of the free woman
But he that was born from Sarah, go ahead,
was by promise.
was by promise. Give me Romans 9. Because the Lord said, at this set time next year, she's going to have your son. It's going to happen. This is a promise. Remember, he said, kings of people and all that shall come out of her and all that. Okay? Romans 9 and 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption.
So it says to the Israelites pertain the adoption. Go ahead.
And the glory.
The glory, that's the kingdom.
And the covenants.
And the covenants, old, new. Go ahead.
And the giving of the law.
Read on.
And the service of God.
Read on.
And the promises.
And the what?
And the promises.
And the promises pertain only to the Israelites. So now Isaac also had two sons, okay, but it was passed down by promise. Okay, this boy I'm going to hate, this boy I'm going to love. That was down the line. Okay, but Isaac was by promise. Go back to Galatians 4. Read 23 again.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 23.
Go ahead.
But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh.
That's Ishmael. Read.
But he of the free woman was by promise.
That's Isaac. Watch this.
which things are an allegory.
So now, which goes back to the lesson, the topic of the lesson. These things, that history, everything that happened in Genesis that we read in chapter 16, chapter 17, by Hagar having Ishmael and the Lord promising Sarah to have Isaac, that was an allegory. Go ahead.
For these are the two covenants.
So those things, that history represents the two covenants. Read on.
The one from the Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Hagar.
So now when it says, give me Exodus 19 and we'll start at verse 20. I think I only want verse 20. But it says, which things are an allegory, for these are the two covenants, the one from Mount Sinai. Read that right there.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 20.
What does it mean from Mount Sinai? Watch this.
And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai.
Upon what?
Upon Mount Sinai.
So the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai. Read.
On the top of the mount.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount.
So now he went to Mount Sinai and he called Moses up. So now what happened on Mount Sinai? Give me Nehemiah chapter 9. Nehemiah chapter 9 and verse 13. 13 or 14. So the Lord came down on Mount Sinai. Watch this.
The book of Nehemiah chapter 9 and verse 13. Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai.
Read on.
And speakest with them from heaven.
Go ahead.
And gavest them right judgments.
Gave us them right judgments.
And true laws.
True laws.
Good statutes.
Good statutes.
And commandments.
And commandments, right? Read on.
And madest known unto them by the holy Sabbath. And commandest them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant.
So now, the laws, statutes, and commandments were given to us on Mount Sinai. So now, is that what the scriptures are saying when it says that gendered to bondage? It's not what it's saying. But read that in Galatians 4 one more time.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 24.
Yeah.
Which things are an allegory. For these are the two covenants. The one from the Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Hagar.
So now, we read that on Mount Sinai, the Lord gave us laws, statutes. Matter of fact, read Nehemiah 9 again. Read again, 13.
Nehemiah chapter 9 and verse 13.
Yeah.
Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai, and speakest with them from heaven, and gavest them right judgments.
Right judgments.
And true laws.
True laws.
Good statutes.
Good statutes.
And commandments.
And commandments. All these things are righteous, good, to guide the people, how to govern our lives, how to eat, how to walk, how to talk, how to act amongst each other, right? Now, what does it mean, gender to bondage? Give me that other one in Numbers. Let's go to Numbers. This is an example of the scriptures when it says it gendered to bondage right here. Numbers 28 and verse 6.
The book of Numbers, chapter 28 and verse 6.
Start at 3.
Verse 3. And thou shalt say unto them, this is the offering made by fire, which ye shall offer unto the Lord.
Which you shall offer to the Lord. Read.
2 lambs of the first year, without spot, day by day.
Day by day. Read.
For a continual burnt offering.
For what?
A continual burnt offering.
You see that? Day by day for a continual burnt offering. Bondage. Go ahead.
The one lamb shalt thou offer in the morning.
So the one you offer in the morning.
And the other lamb shalt thou offer at even.
Now you got to come back and offer another one at evening. Read on.
And the 10th part of an ephah of four for a meat offering.
Yep.
Mingled with the 4 part of an hin of beaten oil.
Watch this, verse 6.
It is a continual burnt offering.
It is a continual burnt offering.
Which was ordained in Mount Sinai.
In where?
In Mount Sinai.
This continual burnt offering was ordained in Mount Sinai. Read.
For a sweet Savior, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord.
So now, we read, in Mount Sinai, we were given the laws, statutes, and commandments, true laws, good judgments, and whatnot. That's what Christianity cannot discern. They don't discern the difference between the law, statutes, and commandments that were good to govern us and the law of sacrifice that gendered to bondage. That's what the scriptures is talking about, the sacrificial law. Go back to Galatians 4. When it says, well, read it. It's gonna explain it. Read 23 again.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 23.
Yeah.
But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh.
Go ahead.
But he of the free woman was by promise.
Let's hold on. It's coming.
Which things are an allegory.
Read on.
For these are the two covenants.
Watch this.
The one from Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage.
That right there. The covenant from Mount Sinai that gendered to bondage was the sacrificial law. For you Christians out there, it's not the laws, statutes, and commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Those are true laws, good judgments. That's what governs the people. It was the sacrificial law. Now, it says, for these are the two covenants, for the one from the Mount Sinai, which gendered to bondage, which is Agar. Give me Hebrews 10 real quick, okay? Going further into that gendering to bondage. How does it gender to bondage or bring us into bondage? Hebrews 10, and start at 1.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 1.
Yep.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come.
Again, now they hear law and they think it includes everything. It's not talking about everything. It's going to explain it as we read on. Watch this.
And not the very image of the things.
Yep.
Can never with those sacrifices.
See that? Can never with those sacrifices, read.
Which they offered year by year. Continually make
What was that word?
Continually.
Which they offered continually, that gendered to bondage. Go ahead.
Make the comers thereunto perfect.
So now, those sacrifices gendered to bondage, we had to continually do them, and they still could not make us perfect. Jump down. Let's get to the point. Verse 4.
Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 4. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins.
And they could not take away sin, but we had to keep doing it over and over and over again. Okay? Give me Acts 15 and verse 10. Another misused scripture by the urban apologists and Christianity. Watch this right here.
The book of Acts, chapter 15 and verse 10. Now therefore, why tempt ye God to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples?
To put a what?
A yoke upon the neck of the disciples.
Why? Because you had certain men coming in trying to pull the people back into those continual burnt offerings. They called it a yoke of bondage. That's what it's talking about. Is that it on that, or is it more?
Which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear.
You see that? We were not able to bear it. It's called a yoke of bondage. It gendered to bondage, the sacrificial law, those continual burnt offerings. Go back to Galatians 4. Start at 25.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 25. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia.
So now, it says this Agar, this old covenant, is Mount Sinai in Arabia. Well, Mount Sinai within itself, where we went to get the law, statutes, and commandments, including sacrificial law, is not in the land of Arabia. So why is it saying this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia? Give me Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. That one. Okay. Mount Sinai is not in the land of Arabia geographically. But watch this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 27.
Go ahead.
And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
So the Lord will scatter the Israelites among all nations, including the people in Arabia, Persia, Greece, Rome, wherever. But we will be in Arabia. Go ahead.
And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen.
So now, go back to Galatians again. Matter of fact, go to chapter 1 and read verse 17. Let's get that.
Galatians chapter 1 and verse 17.
Yep.
Neither went up I to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me.
This is Paul the apostle. He says, when he came to the understanding of Christ, he says he didn't do what?
Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me.
He didn't go immediately to meet the other apostles. But what did he do? Go ahead.
But I went into Arabia.
Paul went into where?
Into Arabia.
Go ahead.
And returned again unto Damascus.
Why did he go to Arabia? To teach the gospel, to teach Christ to the scattered Israelites, like we just read in Deuteronomy 4, verse 27, okay, to those that were scattered. He went to teach them the gospel of Christ. Read it again.
Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me.
Yep.
But I went into Arabia
Yep.
and returned again unto Damascus.
And then he came to Damascus after that. Go back to Galatians 4 again. Read 25.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 25. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia.
Meaning what? You have certain Israelites living in Arabia, scattered, like Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27 says, still keeping the old covenant of sacrificial law, those continual burnt offerings. They were still doing those things in Arabia. Read on.
And answereth to Jerusalem.
Now, when it says, although they're in Arabia, they answer to Jerusalem. What's that mean? Give me that in the book of Acts, chapter 2. This Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia and answers to Jerusalem. What does it mean, answer to Jerusalem? Give me Acts 2, and let's start at verse 5.
The book of Acts, chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven.
You see that? The same thing we just read out of Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. The Israelites will be scattered amongst all nations. This says, there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, devoted to God's laws, out of every nation under heaven. Now, jump down to verse 11 just to get to the point. Y'all can read more on your own.
Verse 11, Cretes and Arabians.
Who?
Cretes and Arabians.
And Arabians, go ahead.
We do hear them speak in our tongues.
Yep.
The wonderful works of God.
So now, what, are these actual Arabians? No, it just said in verse 5, these were Jews, devout men out of every nation. They were scattered in Arabia. Okay, so that's why Paul went to teach them there. Go back to Galatians 4 and 25 again.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 25. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia.
Right. You had Israelites that still kept the covenant of animal sacrifice living in Arabia. Read on.
And answereth to Jerusalem.
And they came back to Jerusalem to offer those offerings, just like we read in Acts chapter 2. They were coming to keep the Feast of Pentecost there. Read on.
Which now is, and is in bondage with her children.
Why? Why does it say which now is and is in bondage with her children? Why? Because the Israelites in Jerusalem also were still doing that. Remember, that goes back to Acts 15. You had certain brothers coming in trying to put that yoke back on the apostles and the people. They were still under that bondage. They didn't have the understanding of Christ yet. Read on.
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
But that same Jerusalem that I just spoke about that's in bondage, Paul says, but she's free. She's free from the covenant of animal sacrifice. Go ahead.
Which is the mother of us all.
Which is the mother of us all, meaning we all, whether we're in Jerusalem or scattered abroad, we should all be following Christ, the black Messiah. That's what Paul is saying. Now, give me that in Hebrews 10, matter of fact, just to jump on that, about us being free. Hebrews 10, start at 5, get to the point.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 5. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not.
Read on.
But a body hast thou prepared me.
See that? The Lord didn't want sacrifices no more, but he brought Christ into the scene. Read.
In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou hast had no pleasure.
Right. The Lord didn't want that no more. Read on.
Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O God.
Now, let's get Hebrews 9 and 28, and we'll close it out. All right.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 28.
Go ahead.
So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many.
Christ did what?
So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many.
Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many. Read.
And unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation.
You see that? So now Christ was offered once for all. That's the point. So we're no longer bound under the covenant of animal sacrifice. All right? So with that, Lord willing, y'all got something out of the lesson. I'm Captain Josiah. With that, I say shalom.
Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is